guys, welcome back to Vitamin D TV. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas. I hope you all got what you wanted and remembered why we had Christmas in the first place. But today we're going to talk about why we feel discouraged learning a language. I wanted to make this video first of all because people will tell me, oh my god, you speak blah 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 languages, I wish I was like that, I wish I could learn or something, and I'm like, why can't you? And then they give me some type of excuse or some type of belief that they have, or limiting belief that they have as to why they can't do it. And so I just wanted to go over some of those reasons and how to overcome that limiting belief, because you really can learn a language. Like, Spanish is the easiest language for you to learn as a native English speaker. So I'm just gonna go over some of those tips. So number one is didn't grow up in a bilingual home. A lot of people, especially if you're like me, we didn't grow up speaking two languages, you know? And so because of that, a lot of people feel like, oh, there's no way I can ever learn another language. And I'm going to tell you guys that's not the case. That's not true at all, because even if you didn't grow up in a bilingual home, I know you must be constantly surrounded by someone or people who are bilingual, or you've been in that situation where people are speaking another language and you have no idea what's going on and you feel like an outsider. That feeling alone right there can drive you to learn a language and say, you know what, that's it, I'm gonna learn what's going on, I'm gonna learn what they're saying. So the fact that you didn't grow up in a bilingual home really doesn't mean anything. Like, yes, you have an advantage if you did grow up in a bilingual home, but just because you didn't grow up in a bilingual home doesn't necessarily mean that you're at a disadvantage. You know, you can still learn. Like, you have unlimited potential, so it's not impossible to do. Second reason would be lack of a great support system when you're studying. So I know a lot of language learners, if you're like me, you get that voice from the outside world, whether it's your family or your friends. They'll be like, oh, you're learning Portuguese, so you're Brazilian now? Oh, or you're learning Spanish, you're trying to be Spanish now? Like, just because I want to be a world citizen, in a sense, if you would, just because I want to explore cultures outside of what I'm used to, that doesn't mean that I hate myself in any way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean that I don't like where I come from, or that I hate myself or my culture or my people in any way, shape, or form. Like, especially if you're brown like me, it is a plus when you're bilingual, because when you open your mouth and you speak Spanish or whatever language it is that you're learning, they're not expecting you to know that. They're not expecting you to speak anything but English. So when you come and you talk and you know what you're saying and you sound good, oh, you're at an advantage. So don't let the fact that people are always in your ear talking about oh, there's no way you're gonna learn that, oh, you speak English, what are you doing learning another language? Like, don't let that get to you, because the fruits of your labor are going to be so sweet. You're not even going to believe it. The third reason that people feel discouraged when they're learning a language is because they failed learning a foreign language in school. So a lot of people, especially if you're from Jersey, a lot of people, they took Spanish or French in high school or in middle school, maybe. And for whatever reason, they failed. I'm going to tell you guys this, and even a lot of other polyglots, a lot of other bilingual people will tell you, self-taught bilinguals will tell you, the way the American school system teaches English, or the way the American school system teaches foreign languages, that's not the way you do it. It's not how you do it. They teach you with books. They teach you with long list of vocabulary. They teach you by repeating the word to you over and over and over and over and over again. That's not how you learn, okay? The American school system has failed a lot of us when it comes to learning a foreign language, and because of that, we feel like we can't learn another language because it didn't work out in school. That's not the case at all. Like, in school, for one, you're doing way more reading and writing than you should be doing when you're first learning a language. Like, when you're first learning a language, the main two things that you need to be doing when you're first learning a language is listening and listening. You need to be doing a lot of listening, and you also need to be doing vocabulary, like learning new vocabulary. I'm not saying to write down a list of vocabulary words and repeat that back to yourself over and over and over again. No, by any means. I'm saying to take those vocabulary lists and put them on flashcards so that you can quickly recall them, and put those words, put them into context. Like, for example, barrer. Barrer in Spanish means to sweep. So instead of just writing down barrer on your flashcards, you can put a picture with it. Like on Tiny Cards, the app that I'm always talking to you guys about, you can add a picture to the words that you're learning. So that's one way, because we learn by pictures, not necessarily by words all the time. Or you can put them into a sentence. Like, that's how you learn languages, by listening and by learning new vocabulary in context. Okay, a lot of times in school, American school systems, they don't teach that. Okay, they teach you how to read and write. When a 3-year-old or when a 1 or 2-year-old is learning their native language, do you think their mom sat them in a high chair, took out a book, gave them a pencil in their hand, and said, "Okay, honey, let's start learning Spanish now. Let's start learning French and English," you know? No, you kept talking to the child. You put them in, you put a cup in their hand, and you say taza. Like, you know, that's how you learn. You literally can learn a language just like a baby does, constantly listening and hearing it and being surrounded by it. So the fact that you failed a language in school, even though that can be disheartening, that doesn't mean you can't learn it at all. That just means that method didn't work. Just because that method didn't work doesn't mean you can't go to another method and try that out, okay? So the next reason is for people being discouraged is the fact that they were made fun of or they were laughed at by native speakers. This might be one of the main things that really, really can hurt you when you're learning a foreign language, because a native speaker, that's the native speaker. Like, that's the person you want to sound perfecto when you're talking to them. But that's not always the case, and it's definitely not going to be the case when you first start learning. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna suck. You're gonna suck when you first start learning a foreign language. You're gonna suck, you're gonna sound bad. But that's why you keep watching TV, so you can get your listening skills up. And that's why you practice at home, or you practice with a native speaker online, or why you practice with a teacher, or a tutor. You know, you don't necessarily have to go up to a complete total stranger and start talking to them in the language that you're learning, like I necessarily did. When I was working in retail, and I was practicing with native speakers speaking Spanish, I went through it. I got laughed at. Or I would just get that really awkward stare. Like, they don't want to tell you that you sound really bad, but they just give you that look like, we'll just talk in English. Or I would get that vibe from them, or they would just say that, and that it does hurt. But if you keep doing it, you'll get better. That's all I can say about that. If you keep doing it, you'll get better. And one day, when you've been consistently practicing and you go up to a native speaker and you sound good, they'll look at you like, damn, where are you from? Are you Spanish too? Are you French? Are you Japanese? How did you learn this language? That will come, but it's not gonna come necessarily in your first week or two of learning a foreign language, unless you've been studying 10 hours a day or something. It's a process. So just because certain native speakers might make you feel bad because you sound really bad trying to speak their language doesn't mean you just stop, because if anything, you're not gonna get better. How are you gonna get better if you just stop because a native speaker laughed at you? Screw them. On to the next one, okay? So the last thing I wanted to say that we get discouraged is just the fear of speaking in the first place. To overcome that, I would say you don't necessarily even have to begin speaking. I'm so sorry for the loud noise. You don't necessarily have to begin speaking in a foreign language right away. You can do more listening and more grammar and more studying and more reading before you necessarily start speaking. Some people just start speaking right out the gate, and that works for them. But if you aren't that type of person, or if you just don't want to try that method at all, you don't have to. There's a lot of methods you can use to language learning, so there's no one solid method. So if you want to start speaking with a native speaker, I would say go on Hello Talk. Hello Talk is a foreign language learning app where you can practice with other native speakers, and practice with people on there, practice with people online. Like, get all the embarrassment out online. People don't know you, don't see you, don't know what you're doing, where you're from, or whatever. Practice online and get all of that embarrassment out if you want to start speaking right away. That way, when you're at a restaurant or when you're talking to somebody in person, you'll sound way better and you'll have more confidence. But necessarily, you don't have to speak right out the gate when you first start learning a language. So that's all the tips I wanted to give you guys for today, because I know it's not easy learning a language, and it really is discouraging sometimes, and you just want to stop. But I'm telling you guys, if you just keep going, you'll get there. Like, there's no way to fail unless you quit, pretty much. So if you like this video, if you like these tips, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. Share with me some of your stories, and let me know what you think, because I will always be responding to you guys in the video, in the comments. So that's all for now. I will see you guys in my next video really soon.